The chase continues in the Canadian Premier League. 4 weeks left in the regular season until the outcome on October 18th. Let's bring up the table here because we're going to break down some of the battles we're looking at the moment. Obviously, Forge in first with 50 points. Atletico Ottawa just behind 48. Followed by, in third place, Cavalry 39, Halifax on 35, York on 33. And then we've got the 11-point gap to Valor in sixth with 22, Pacifico 21, Vancouver with 15. Guys, I think this is a good moment to talk about Cavalry and Halifax. Both of these teams, Cavalry obviously beating Valor 3-0 on the weekend, Halifax beating Pacific 3-0. Those results helping those teams to clinch their playoff spots. Let's start with Cavalry. Mitchell, back in the playoffs, ready to defend their North Star Cup. Maybe not as high up the table as they would have hoped heading into the season. What do you see as kind of the story of this year for Cavalry, and what are you looking at with them as you look at this next few weeks of the season and heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the story of the season has really been a lack of consistency. I mean, this past weekend was the first time since May they won back-to-back games in the league, which, for a team that wants to be in the top two or even pushing for first place in the league can't happen. They have to have found ways to have some of these solid performances, be followed by even better ones sometimes. We've seen that offensively too. Like their offense went missing for a while over the summer, and now it's absolutely back. With that, I will say though, like they're in a decent position right now. They're 4 points up on that third place. It looks like they're going to get that playoff home game, and they're going to avoid the knockout match as things stand right now. And they've been lethal at home recently. I mean, 15 goals in their past 4 home games. They've been entertaining, been doing backflips, which is what is always happening when Cavalry are at their best. And, if they can host that, the winner of the fifth match and win that convincingly, 1-2 are not going to want to play them. Like that's going to be a really difficult semifinal, even if it's on the road. So I think things are setting up quite nicely, especially like they play Ottawa and they play Forge again before the end of the season. You get some good results in those games. You get that playoff home game. Like there is a path here for them to defend that title. So it hasn't been a consistent season from Cavalry. I don't think they'll be happy with their output overall, but I think they are shaping up to be a real threat once again. When the calendar flips and we are talking about the CPL playoffs.
Yeah, it does remind me a little bit of last year where they kind of just hit that upward trajectory at just the right time of the year. I mean, last year was mostly Warshevsky going on an insane run in the last 4 games of the season, but it seems like all of Cavalry stars are starting to hit their peak right around now. Ali Musi is getting into incredible form. Camargo's been great all year, obviously, but Warshevsky's been a little bit more effective. Gauthier and Tigny's look great. I agree. Cavalry's not a team that I think anybody would want to see in the playoffs. And we absolutely know that they can beat anybody, especially in a playoff game and especially at Atco Field. The Halifax Wanderers, though, AGR, there was some pressure on them heading into this year after missing the playoffs. What have you made of their season to date? Are they happy, do you think, with where they are at the moment? And what have you thought of just kind of their recovery and their bounce back this season?
Yeah, it's been a good evolution for them to bounce back and to push into the playoffs. I think the big thing we've talked about it since day one, they're just a lot better defensively, and that goes a long way because they obviously tried to play a certain attacking style of soccer over their first 2 years under Patrice Geyser, which worked to an extent, but also, that's half the battle. You need to be able to keep the ball out of your net in different ways. And I think they added that to their game this year without sacrificing their identity. Like, this is still a team that can score. I think it's been really nice to see Thiago Coimbra's development, to really see Sean Rea, come into his own over these last few months and step up after it looked like he might drop out of the group a little bit. They've still got, the hallmarks of like a Lorenzo Caligari still doing Lorenzo Caligari things. And congrats for finally scoring his first goal, I guess, this past weekend too, which is nice. You got guys like Isaiah Johnston adding in. Like, this is a more balanced, complete team. And one thing too, they're because of this defensive prowess, they're winning more. One thing that stood out last 2 years, they drew a lot of games, and those draws hurt them in 23 when they were so close to finishing top two, and then it really hurt them last year when they missed the playoffs. They drew way too many games, and I think it helps this year. They've been able to turn a lot of those draws into wins. They actually have probably lost a lot more than they'd like. They have that 4-game losing streak a couple months ago, but I think that those wins go a long way. And heading into the playoffs, there's a bit more of this reliability that they can go grind out a 0-0, 1-0, 1-1 game that these playoff matches are going to be. Whereas in other years, they struggle with that. Pacific caught them with that in 2023, and then in 2024 they didn't even make it there. So that does stand out to me.
Yeah, I think it's been an important year for Patrice Geyser in particular. You know, they had some challenging moments in more the middle of the season, but I think that they've adjusted really well. Tactically, they look pretty different, I think, to how they were at the start of the season. A little bit more structured. They've gone to this back three, and I think they've really hit on something with this kind of double inside number 10s thing with Sean Rea and Vitor Diaz, who have been excellent, especially Rea over the weekend. And I think that that's kind of helping them get the ball into those more dangerous areas, into the half spaces. So I think that it is interesting. Again, Halifax kind of starting to get on that upward trajectory at the right time, which does make them, you know, an interesting threat to watch heading into the playoffs. Certainly the least, you know, maybe playoff experience in this group of the top five, even we'd say, considering that the other four were in the playoffs last year. But, you know, definitely not a team that should be taken lightly.